This is a neat hole. You have shallow riffles coming straight down through here, and then you can tell that it gets deeper in here as this water and this foam kind of dissipates and slows down on the surface. That means the water has more volume to go down, so you know this sort of gets deep, and it looks like it butts right up against that bank over there, because you can tell all that white foam that's piled up there. Looks like there's a little eddy, which means it's just all this flow is coming down, hitting that bank, and then all that water is getting pushed upstream, downstream, over, and it's creating a little eddy over there. So down below is probably a nice, slow, frictionless area for trout to kind of hold. And there's also a creek that's coming down the side of this that's feeding in right here. Looks like it's a little tributary. You can barely see it, but there's different flow of water coming in the tail end of that. So I'm just going to fish this with a streamer, cast it across, let it sink, and then strip it on through here and kind of work my way up. I'm using 2 woolly buggers. Oops, a little tangled up here at the top. There we go. Using 2 woolly buggers. The water is a little murky, little milky colory. It's like a grayish, which is great advantage for us getting closer to the trout. The trout can, you know, they probably still sort of see you, but not as good as if it was clear water. So I'm still using a fly that has a little contrast, a green woolly bugger and a black woolly bugger. And I have a 6 IPS Versa leader on, which allows my leader to sink 6 inches per second, which gets my fly down a lot quicker. I'm just going to cast over here, let it sink, and see what I can do. I'll work this hole all through in here, kind of do a couple different techniques of just stripping it across so the streamer goes in front of the fish's face as it comes across this hole, and then I'll bring it up the hole as well. Just work a couple casts in here, just see what I can do. Letting it sink. And then I'll work further down. And I'm just stripping it in very slowly. Maybe just a little bit of action with my rod tip. But sometimes on these faster flowing days, the trout will hide right into this softer water. So I'm going to let my fly kind of drift down a little bit and then strip it on through this slower water here. Let's try that again. Right where the seam is, kind of bends around. See if anyone's flirting around in here. And I'll go further down. Let that sink. And I'm going to strip it, the tail end of that little softer water there. Now the one thing you have to remember if you were to get a hit while streamer fishing is you don't want to set the hook like you were setting the hook with a nymph. That bird. You want to set the hook by strip setting, so you don't want to stop stripping in, because the trout, what they'll do is they'll hit it, and sometimes if they don't get it in their mouth, they'll come back for a second time. And if you just continue to strip it, they'll turn right around and come right back after it. But when you set the hook and you pull it up really quick like that, it just yanks the streamer way further away from them than they can go back for it. So just keep stripping it, and then it'll set the hook if they come back for it again. I'm just stripping it a little bit differently, nice and slow, seeing what they like. It's lots of trial and error on streamer fishing. You just never really know how they want it presented. If they want it presented fast strips, slow strips, in front of them, across the water. You just got to try everything until you figure out what they want that day. And I'll move a little bit further down, let my flies get way back in there. and strip it on through this softer area right here again. My gut tells me that's where these trout are here. Just letting that sink way down in there. I'll just move down a little bit. Whoops, well, I'm not going to tempt fate. I'm going to let that kind of sink through there and see what I can do. Slipped out of my hands. Put the fly way back in there. I'm just going to let that just dead drift as it sinks on through, and I'm going to bring it, strip it right on through this inside seam here. Going to start off with it slow, and then my next one I'll strip it on a little bit quicker. And quicker, I just mean I'll just be a little bit more erratic with my rod tip, give it a little bit more action as it comes through this hole here. And one technique I like to do is bring it straight up through the faster water. So I'm just going to take a step out into this, and I'll just cast it way down in there and just let it sink. And then I'll strip it right up through this center. Oh, got one. That's what I needed to do. I actually got it on the dead drift, I think. Alright. Where is he? He's up, going upstream. I'll cut them off here, come down in this slower water. All right. Ah, don't get in this faster water. Shoot. Getting some on here. All right. Whew. That was exciting. Gorgeous. There you go. Very pretty fish. go. Whew.